Maurice Scott recently went live talking about an event he was promoting, and let me tell you, it was one of those talks that you just kind of sit back and wonder, am I actually learning anything new? Honestly, it was pretty forgettable. If you've been following Love and Marriage, Huntsville, you know Maurice's off-season interviews are kind of like this. They are predictable. You tune in expecting some entertainment, some excitement, or at least some drama, but instead, you get the same old story over and over. He's out there talking about events, homecoming, and just general life, but it's delivered in a way that's, well, kind of dull. It's not that he's uninteresting as a person, but his energy in these interviews just doesn't capture attention like you'd hope. I tried to stay engaged, but I'll admit, my mind wandered a lot during the live session. Now, one thing Maurice did touch on, which was kind of interesting, was how he and his friends got down to Alabama. Apparently, he had recruited his brothers and friends from other schools to come down to Alabama A&M. Maurice explained that he went first, then reached out to his friends like Mauro, Micah, and others to join him. He emphasized how important it was to have that connection and how they all built their network together. It's kind of inspiring to see how he values community and family connections, and how he's able to bring people together. But, at the same time, the way he spoke about it didn't have much depth for someone just tuning in for entertainment. He mentioned that people often think he looks younger than his age, and there was some playful banter about that, but it felt like filler more than anything impactful. Maurice also talked about his early life and the lessons he learned about hustle and determination. He shared a story about how his mother gave him a book called The Magic of Thinking Big, which really shaped his mindset. Maurice explained that before reading that book, he never fully understood the power of thinking positively and having a vision for what you want. After reading it, he made a personal goal to make $1,000 a week when he was just 18. He laughed about how his friends thought he was crazy, but he was determined. That kind of story is relatable, especially for younger viewers trying to figure out their own path in life. Maurice went on to talk about how he built his business from the ground up, started making pools, and gradually gained confidence through his early hustles. It's an important message about perseverance and hard work, even if the delivery in the interview was a bit monotonous. A large part of the conversation centered on the upcoming homecoming events at Alabama A&M, and honestly, this is where Maurice's energy picked up slightly. He described all the events happening throughout the weekend. He started with Wednesday, which includes karaoke at Black Cigar Lounge, owned by his brother Marcel and his wife, Tisha. Thursday is when things really start popping with a day party and meetups. Maurice talked about how important it is to plan ahead and make the most out of every event. He also gave shout-outs to his friends and co-hosts, emphasizing how much effort goes into organizing these events every year. The weekend itself is packed with different parties, cocktails, and social gatherings that span Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Maurice made it clear that there is something for everyone, no matter your interests, and encouraged people to attend as many events as they can. He was particularly excited about the all-black party happening at the new minor league baseball stadium in Huntsville. This is a big deal because it shows how the event has grown and evolved over the years. Maurice highlighted how each event has its unique vibe, and even though there are many options, it's all centered around community, celebration, and supporting the university. Maurice spent a good part of the interview explaining the logistics and scheduling of all the weekend festivities. He talked about the day party, which is kind of like a pre-game for the main events, and the cocktails and conversations that happen on Friday. He mentioned the importance of staying until Sunday to truly experience the full weekend, rather than leaving early. He explained how the tailgate on Saturday is an all-day affair, with food, drinks, and socializing that extends into the night with another party at Entice. Then, the grand finale is Black Meek, which has evolved from a small concept into a major outdoor amphitheater event hosted by Young Miami. Maurice was clearly proud of how far the weekend has come, but honestly, even with all these details, the way he explained it felt long-winded and lacked the kind of excitement you would expect from someone promoting an event. It's informative, but it's not the kind of live segment that really hooks your attention unless you're planning to attend. One of the more interesting points Maurice made was about giving back to the university. He talked about how important it is to support Alabama A&M financially and in other ways, especially because HBCUs often face challenges with funding. He encouraged alumni and attendees to contribute, emphasizing that the weekend is not just about partying, it's about community, support, and growth for the university. This is an important message and one that doesn't always get highlighted in these kinds of interviews. Maurice also compared their homecoming to other HBCUs and noted that, while he's attended many, he truly believes their events can stand toe-to-toe with anyone else. He mentioned the classic events and the sense of tradition that comes with it, highlighting that their homecoming is about more than just socializing, it's about legacy, pride, and giving back. During the live, Maurice also shared personal stories about the preparation for events and the scale of what's being done. He talked about working with his partner Zoe to plan the day party and ensuring that the cocktails and conversations event stays consistent as a highlight of the weekend. He even reminisced about past experiences, mentioning how in previous years, parties ran until the early morning hours and how the back bars offered a more intimate space for attendees to relax and socialize after the main events. He emphasized the importance of Black as a central hub for the weekend, where grown and sexy adults could gather without pretense. Maurice's perspective shows his dedication to creating a welcoming and enjoyable atmosphere, even if his delivery lacked flair. Another aspect Maurice touched on was the growth of their weekend events over the years. He talked about how Black Meek started small with just a parking lot and AstroTurf, but has now expanded into an amphitheater with professional-level organization. He highlighted how outdoor events are preferable, especially with good weather, and how they create a party atmosphere that is more inclusive and energetic than indoor venues. Maurice made sure to point out that all of this is tied to the university and its alumni network. He wants people to understand that attending these events is not just about fun, it's about celebrating the school, reconnecting with friends, and supporting a community that's bigger than any one person. The conversation also included shout-outs to friends and co-hosts who make the weekend possible. Maurice mentioned people like Christy Colefield, Q Carter, and Hot Rod, who are all involved in making different events successful. He talked about how important it is to acknowledge their efforts and how much work goes into planning, organizing, and executing these events. This part of the interview gave some insight into the teamwork required to pull off such a large-scale weekend, and while it was somewhat detailed, it could have been presented in a more engaging way to keep viewers interested. Maurice clearly values his friends and co-hosts, and that sense of community is evident throughout the discussion. Maurice also shared some practical advice for people attending the weekend. He encouraged attendees to pick the events they're most interested in, rather than trying to do everything, and to be respectful of the spaces and other attendees. He emphasized the diversity of events, from day parties to all-black parties, to tailgates and rooftop gatherings, making it clear that there's something for everyone. Maurice's focus on inclusion and variety shows that he understands his audience, but again, the delivery lacked the kind of enthusiasm that would make viewers feel the energy of the weekend through the screen. One of the highlights of the interview, albeit small, was Maurice's personal anecdotes about traveling and staying until Sunday. He mentioned his own experiences with being tired on the road, stopping for energy, and making sure he's present for the full weekend to enjoy everything. These stories humanize him and make him relatable, but the segment could have benefited from more storytelling flair. He also emphasized that the events are for grown and professional adults who can appreciate the atmosphere, which is important for maintaining the vibe of the weekend and ensuring everyone has a good time. Maurice wrapped up the conversation by reflecting on the importance of supporting HBCUs beyond just the homecoming weekend. He talked about the financial challenges these schools face and the need for alumni and supporters to remain engaged throughout the year. He stressed that while the weekend is fun and exciting, the real goal is to contribute to the growth and sustainability of the university. This was probably the most important takeaway from the live session because it highlights the larger purpose behind the festivities. Maurice's commitment to giving back shows that he sees the bigger picture, even if the delivery of the interview itself wasn't the most captivating. In conclusion, Maurice Scott's live talk about the event was informative but largely forgettable. It had moments of interest, particularly when he discussed his early life, hustle, and the importance of community and giving back. However, the overall delivery lacked energy and excitement, making it hard to stay fully engaged throughout. The detailed descriptions of homecoming events, while useful for attendees, didn't translate into captivating content for viewers watching online. Maurice's passion for his university and the community is clear, but unfortunately, the way the live was presented did not match that passion. Fans looking for drama, excitement, or new revelations from Maurice may be disappointed, but those genuinely interested in the logistics and growth of the events might find some value in it. Overall, the interview highlighted a mix of personal anecdotes, event promotion, and reflections on community, but it did so in a way that felt repetitive and uninspiring. Maurice's live session is a reminder that even when someone has interesting experiences and important messages to share, delivery matters just as much as content. For those attending homecoming in Alabama, Maurice's insights can help plan a fun and engaging weekend. For viewers just watching online, it's more of a recap than a must-see event. Maurice Scott's live talk shows that while the substance may be there, the energy and delivery can make all the difference in keeping an audience engaged.